Happy Thursday, you guys. I'm so excited to talk to this author. It has been, I think, like 18 months since we chatted, so I see her all the time. It's my new ring. I got it out the ballet. T. Invite. I see you. I don't know why it's so slow.
Okay, I'm on. Yay.
Welcome back.
Thanks. How are you?
I'm good. I'll open. Welcome to Let's Go Live. I'm Gigi Mara, and I have with me paranormal romance and fantasy author St. Fernandez. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi.
Okay, are you on location?
Am I on? I'm sorry?
Oh, it looks like you're on location, like in a hotel room or somewhere, like
No,
excited.
I'm actually in my guest room slash my writing room.
A she-den.
Well, sort of, but don't tell my husband that because he gets upset because he likes to say that I steal all the rooms in the house. But we do live in California, so slim pickings. So what can
What
you do?
I heard is happy wife, happy life.
That part. It's true though.
Okay. Okay, so this is early for you then if you're in California. Are you in Southern California?
I am. Ventura, so about 1 hour north of LA.
Okay.
Far enough.
How are you guys surviving the wildfires? Are they over? I mean, it seemed like for a while there we kept popping up at the beginning of the year and there was like another one, but everything is done now, right? We have
So
water.
it is, thank God, or the goddess, depending which way you see it. But yeah, it was really intense. My husband is a golf course superintendent, and about 2 or 3 times a wildfire had sparked up on his course. So
Oh, dang.
it was like, and his course is only like 2 miles away. So it was like, okay, I've got the papers and important papers, and I'm ready to rock in case something happens, and grab the wiener dogs and just flee, you know? It does get scary, and you know, it, I wish it weren't like that, but it's becoming such a reality for us to be like super prepared for something like that to happen. Um, Wish it weren't. But,
It's
what
it
can you do,
was
you know?
terrifying. The winds, and also you hear people that have lived there. These homes have been there 50, 60, 70 years. They've been in their house
Mhm.
for like 40, 50 years. And you're thinking like, why now? My gosh. It was just so heartbreaking and destructive and devastating. I'll have to tell you.
It really was. I feel so bad for a lot. I mean, it wiped out a lot of these houses, and it did it so quickly. It frightens me all the time. Anytime that it gets windy here, I get frightened,
Oh, of
and it's
course.
pretty often because I mean we're pretty close to the coast, and so it's like, oh man, okay, it's gonna be a windy day, and you never know what's gonna happen with the power lines, and then but we made it, thank God, goddess, and as I mentioned,
Well,
and
that's what one of the things we love about California. There's always a coastal breeze, always. And so, yeah, being on the Gulf Coast of Texas, girl, I understand PTSD, right? I mean, we
yeah,
have it with hurricanes. We have it now with the, winter freeze because our electric grid likes to fail, for like the whole state. So,
yeah,
we used to only have it in the summer, but now we have it like summer and winter, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what is this coming to?
I know, and I feel you on the hurricanes too because I'm Floridian, born and raised, and I believe it or not, got caught in a hurricane this past summer when I went for Flirty in Tampa over in
Oh
Tampa, Florida. Yeah.
no.
So it was kind of my dad passed away like in September of 2023, and so my 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 dear stepmother, she lives by herself, and I was not going to leave her by herself during this hurricane. I don't know how much help I was to her because I was freaking out the entire time,
Mhm.
but I could not in good conscience, leave her, because I just felt so bad. But again, she did marvelous. She was the one calming me down. I'm the one hunkering down in the walk-in closet, like, because there's like tornado like warnings all over the place and everything. So I went at earthquakes, hurricanes, wildfires. I had it all. I ticked all of those boxes last year.
Oh my gosh, girl, what a horrible list.
I know.
My
It really was.
my sister-in-law's from Tampa, and I,
Oh,
like
yeah.
it either hits Florida or Texas.
Yep.
Every now and again, those, and then they move over to like Louisiana, Mobile, etc. But they always hit our two states, right?
Hmm.
And so I was talking to her, and it kept being like Florida, 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 and it was Tampa. I think it was twice, and I was like, "Are
Yep.
her whole family lives there, like second generation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tampa, whatever you call them." And I said, "Are you guys evacuating now? Like this is the big one?" And she's like, "No, they're not evacuating. They'll ride it out." I'm like, "You said they're 50 feet from the water. Like they have
Oh,
a waterfront house." She's like, "It's built up. They're fine." I'm telling you, those people are tough there in Tampa. That
they
bed like
are.
got sucked out, and they're just like, "Ah, it's fine. It'll come back." And I'm just like, "What is happening?"
They're getting a lot worse, and the back-to-back hurricanes, the second one is the one that I was in, but even when I was there for Flirty in Tampa, there was furniture in front yards. It was pretty intense, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, and to go through it again, like, ooh,
Yeah,
that's.
because I think they got hit by Helene and then Milton right behind it. Wasn't that the two?
Yeah, I was in Milton.
Oh my gosh. And girl, Helene did its own damage, so.
It did.
Whew.
It did. Luckily, my family was or is still in Orlando, so that's kind of where I hunkered down. Although it was not any fun, but
There's nowhere to hide in Florida.
no, there really isn't.
Yeah, it's either the Gulf Coast or it's going to be just a straight, Atlantic. So there's nowhere to hide.
I know. I know. Well,
But that is so fun that you went to Flirty in Florida. Do you
yeah,
book conferences often?
I am going to so many. So I started like applying to a ton of them. I'm like, let me just see how many I can get in. I am doing like 7 now.
Oh
I think. I don't know. I like lost count.
oh my.
So I have Love and Devotion coming up, which is I did that one last year. It was tons of fun, and it's in Burbank this year. So Love and Devotion, Flirty in Tampa. Um, oh my gosh, there's going to be a test on this later. I'm going to fail. Um, I think Romantically Yours.
Are they?
Check my website for those who are watching, stfernandez.com. I have it all over on there. But yeah,
Are they
I have
on your website?
they are. They are. I'm like, wait a minute, am I missing one? I know that there's another one. Oh, Villains and Vixens in Dallas. So I'll be in Dallas. Um, and then Steamy Lit Con and Gowns and Crowns. So yeah, I've got quite a few.
Okay. Did you sign? Okay, so did you apply and then you just got them all?
Yeah.
Oh,
I said, let me
dang.
just see if I can get in because I would totally love to. And it's such a great experience to meet readers face to face, and they're the kindest community, and I adore them, and it's just so much fun. And and meeting other authors, and it's just the best time. I love it. So, it's definitely worth the investments and getting to see so many readers and authors face to face. It's a blast.
Okay, so tell us your website again
Yeah,
so people can look up your events.
it's St Fernandez with an F as in Frank.com.
Perfect, easy enough. Well, that's exciting. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
So we had talked, I was looking up, I think it was like 18 months ago, something along,
That
I know,
that's
I know.
crazy.
And we had talked about pirate romance, and of course, I had to recommend your book to like everybody because every now and again I come across something like, oh yeah, I know this is kind of nichey, but
Yeah.
I like pirates, and I'm like, have I got the book for you?
Look at you.
So bring us up to date. What has happened since then?
Oh gosh. Okay. So
Now you're
I
gonna have to go way back.
I know I jumped into fantasy because that's where I read fantasy like it's going out of style. I am a fantasy romance hoe.
Yep.
And so like I was like I need to be really writing where my heart is like at. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'm jumping into fantasy. And I'm so glad that I did because this is where I like resonate in terms of like an author and my writing. And like I love it. I love being able to create my own world. I loved this story in particular because I actually started this story in my 20s. Oh shoot, I'm dating myself a while ago. Um
Girl, I'm older than
So,
you. It's okay.
yeah, I'm okay. So I started it a while ago. I wrote it originally. It was like kind of one of the first things that I put down on paper. It sucked. It totally sucked. And I like now that I'm like more rehearsed and I'm a better reader, which makes you a better writer. Like, not better reader, frequent reader, I should say. But I kind of felt like, okay, this is my moment. And so I rewrote the whole thing and I did it based on Atlantis, which if any true Floridian is always like really like, enamored by the story of Atlantis and whether or not our sacred spot and, out in the Atlantic, is where Atlantis resides, right? Like we're all like, oh, it's got to be out there, right? Because we're so
Okay, could I stop you right there? You are
of
not lying. I have been to Miami, I have been to Orlando, Tampa, the Florida Keys, you name it. And everywhere I go, Atlantis is like this thing. And at first I thought it was like the Atlantis, Bahamas, that resort, because like you're in
yeah,
Florida,
yeah,
and, like the Bahamas are right there, right? It's the Caribbean, right?
yep,
And you're
hmm
not lying though. Everybody's just like, no,
yeah.
like Atlantis, under the sea. And I'm just like, okay.
I'm telling you, it's our jam. So like,
So is all over the state.
it really, really is. So I was like, I'm writing my tale about it, but of course I'm going to add some spice and some steam and some romance and like all the things because that's who we are.
Yep,
We got this.
of course.
So I just came up, I just sat down and just started writing and, really putting pen to paper, theoretically speaking, but we're really typing these things out now. So, I really just let the story flourish and, took the lessons from the Legend of Gasparilla and character development and things that ARC readers suggested. So if you are an ARC reader and you are listening to this, you do the work of the Lord. So like, I think authors, I don't know, express as much, but they really do value, your opinion when it comes to our work. So thank you so much for doing all the awesome, awesome work that you do, ARC readers. You are amazing. But I digress. I took all of those lessons and I said, okay, I know that I'm going to improve and make this better. And it really is honestly, one of I shouldn't say my favorite book child. It's something I know it's something that I'm like super proud of. But yeah, and then it just, it evolved into this really, wild fantasy world that readers resonated with, and I was really, really excited about that. And then I was like, okay, I want to write something extra smutty. And then I came up with The Forbidden King, which is like an Heir of Atlantis novella. So it dives a little bit into, and it has a lot more spice. Still more plot than spice. Not that there's anything wrong with the opposite trust, because I read that too. But it gives a little backstory. And now I'm finishing up the official book 2, which is The Forever Queen. And we are gearing up for this summer. And I know it was a little bit of a delay because unfortunately my mom passed away in January, and that threw, I know, it's like both parents in like a year and a half. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is okay, we're doing this.
I'm so sorry for your loss. That is devastating. And the
It
wildfires.
is. It is. It's like, my mom like called me, texted me every day, like, and like those little things that she did, I miss like not being able to like hear her voice, although I do have her voice messages. Although like my father also, who I have his voice is it's kind of like a why aren't you picking up the phone tone, So it's not always the most pleasant,
The
but I
angry
mean,
ones.
I'll take it.
I completely understand. I lost my mom last January, and me and my sister were co-caregivers, and so yeah, and so it's devastating. You grieve not only as a daughter, but you grieve, in my case as a caregiver. There's all this extra time. There's this void, and
Yes.
you would give anything to get them back, and to we were her caregiver, so do all the cooking and all that kind of stuff, bathing and that. Um, so I wholeheartedly empathize and sympathize with you, and so yeah, I have all her voice messages because yeah, I know.
Oh,
So
condolences to you as well. It's not easy. You know what I'm saying? Like it, and it's a weird. It's just weird. I don't know. It just kind of feels like the Twilight Zone. You're like, they're there, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, they're not. I
yeah,
don't know. It's just
I know
strange.
it all goes away because my parents were my safe haven. My dad passed away before my mom, and so everything. The house is gone. Where we used to sit at the dining room table and discuss life, all that's gone, right? And so my sister had looked at us at the funeral and she said, I guess we're orphans now. And that statement, she's like, we're not daughters anymore. And it struck me because I was like, okay, well, we'll always be daughters, but I get what you're trying to say. So yeah, it's just,
Thankfully, I have my step parents, but then at the same point, I'm like, gosh, I got to go through this two more times like that. That sounded bad, but my step-parents would
no.
actually laugh at that. So
No, it's so true. Like, I feel like there is milestones in life that are truly devastating, and losing your loved ones is. So I think
yeah,
if you can go through that and get to the other side, I'm a woman of faith though. So how can you begrudge my mom, eternal life
yeah,
because I want her here with me, sick, elderly, etc., me having to like buy, diapers and stuff. Yeah.
yeah. I know it's selfish to want that, but
Yeah.
that it's like they're in a better place, and that's always
Yeah.
yeah.
Your mom
But it's good,
passed away. You have someone in the comments. My mom passed away 20 years ago, but not a day goes by that I don't remember her and her strength and values. We always have our memories, of course.
Oh, yes, I agree. Oh my goodness, yes. And I feel you, and condolences to you as well. I mean, it's just it's touching, but I fueled all of my grief. I took that grief and I just said, and I'm just going to create I'm just going to use it and fuel it into my work and make sure that, I'm creating the best work possible because that's what she would have wanted. I didn't allow her to read my book, but that's cool. She's
No,
sneaky
but I love
too.
I love how
Let's
you
tell you,
channel that into your work. I know mine all have, shirtless men, and my mom was 83, fourth generation Lutheran, Midwestern Minnesota. So it'd be like, oh, honey, you don't have naked men on these covers. No one's gonna buy it. And I was like, oh, contraire, mon frere. They will definitely buy it because there are shirtless men on the cover.
yes,
So, but it's just that upbringing, and it's so sweet that we can like take our grief and channel it into something that's productive and
yes,
healing, cathartic in many ways.
yeah, it is. And I feel like that, and then, like the current events of our world right now, you just, I, it's just cannon fodder for my creativity. And I just take that. And this particular book that I'm writing right now, The Forever Queen, happens to be a really dark book. And, so I'm like, well, I guess it just is par for the course. So you just take things and dump it in, and you know, it helps to fuel that creativity. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that life helps you do those things, you know?
I say this is like the 17th month of 2025 because I swear every day it's like breaking news. This just in. I'm like, oh my God,
Oh
like, you
man, you
just
are not kidding.
every time you turn on social media or the news, there's always like worse and worse and worse. And you're like, okay, I can't absorb the world's problems and emotions, so I'm gonna have to just go on a cleanse.
Yeah, or like dive into a book and forget the rest of the world, which is what like
Sure,
I do
sure.
like every evening. I'm like, you know, my husband tries to like, oh, did you hear this? I'm like, I've already heard it. I cannot. I was like, I am stopping. This is my stop point, and I'm diving into a book. I was like, these two on my pages are about to boom boom, and you don't exist, okay?
You're like, give me your hot take. You got 1 minute, and then I'm leaving and escaping into my
Right,
reality.
exactly. It's exactly
Oh,
how
we're
it goes
so the
down.
same. So I want to go back
Mhm.
because you had originally written that book in your younger years.
Yes.
How much of that book, when you decided to pick it back up again, that story, how much of the bones of the story remained and how much of it ended up being a complete rewrite? Because you did have one book, Legends of Gaspar, right? Legends of
That's the Legend of Gasparilla.
Gasparilla under your belt.
Hmm.
And we learn, right? Our craft changes, our character development changes, our
Yeah,
storytelling. So, how much of that book remained, and how much was a complete rewrite?
all of it was rewrite, like the whole
Oh,
thing. Like I still have it
man.
like in the closet, which is right here. And I have it like printed out, and I can't even tell you where the old file is, even if I wanted to go get it. It's just the lessons you learn as you develop as an author, and
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, no, it's definitely too YA. I'm not, and not that there's anything wrong with YA. I do from
Yeah, you're
occasion
just not
take a
that way.
YA break, but I just felt like for this where I'm at in my life, I wanted it to be much more spicier because that's where I read in my life. And I also wanted it to have like more development. I don't think that I had the know-how at that particular point in time to craft a story uh, the the way that I wanted it, the way that I imagined it. And so I did a lot more. I had done a lot more studying until since that point on craft. And I said, okay, well, now I'm going to apply it. And so I did, and thank God, because I think the thing that was similar
Mm-hmm.
was that you have basically, a prophecy, a chosen one, an underwater world, all of those things. And I wanted this underwater world in the original story was one that I created that wasn't Atlantis, but was like Atlantis. And I'm like, why am I trying to do it like Atlantis? Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
Let's just go for it. And we're going to bring Atlantis to life because I think, like there's so many everyone loves a Little Mermaid, but then, we never talk about Atlantis. And I'm like, well, let's mold a lot of that in there, but let's not do the Little Mermaid. Let's make her a badass bitch with a trident. And like,
Love it.
like, yeah, like, I wanted her to be a strong female character. And I was like, let's just go ahead and do that. And yeah, it just morphed and morphed into something I was just like, oh, this is cool. And I have like these two amazing, they're like my book besties and my friends, and I adore them. And they read everything I put out, and I take their input, and they're my secret sauce. And I always make sure to like have them peek at it, and when they got done with it and it developed into something else, I was like, oh, this is good. I was like, this is real good. So like I was like, all right, I think I got something here, and I am glad that it, like I said, I'm glad it resonated with readers and that they loved it. And I'm excited to bring more stuff to the forefront in this series. But there's so many other series I have in my head. I don't know if you suffer from this too. I think all writers suffer from this. Where all the ideas just kind of like, no, but you have to write this, and yeah, there's so many.
I have a whole nother series too, and I even have their names picked out,
Oh
of
my God.
like what and the covers and all that, just ruminating in my mind.
I know.
How did you find these two readers? Are they friends of yours, or did you find them through social media, or how? Because sometimes our friends don't read what we, when they don't read the same genre. And
You're right.
also, sometimes you don't want your closest friends to read what you're writing because you're like, you're a little too close.
So that's so funny. They're actually my sorority sisters. And they are they're a little younger than me, not by much. And we jived for our love of A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Oh.
And we, because of Court of Thorns and Roses. And
Who doesn't
so
love that? Who
I know,
doesn't?
believe me, there are people out there. But
What?
but yeah, we just, and then finally they were like, are you going to go indie or what? And I was like, all right, okay, I'm going to do it. And then I did. I ended up, writing and getting it done because I was, doing the 9 to 5 grind and nothing else but the 9 to 5 grind. I mean, I think most indie authors have something else on the side, just to get through life.
Mm-hmm.
But, like I was doing the 9 to 5 grind and I'm like, I am tired of not going after my dream. And I really need to like go for it, put me first. And I think a lot of us tend to put companies first, others first. And I feel like if there was a better concentration on putting ourselves first, you'd go after it. And then thank God they encouraged me, and they've been, they've been my ride or dies ever since. And I trust them. I trust them to be very honest, like really honest with me, and I don't take any offense, when they say that something's got to go, or they literally are my secret sauce.
Well, women are taught from like the beginning of time that everybody goes before us. It's always the husbands, the
Yeah.
kids, the career, everything. And so we're in the back seat. And hell will be paid if you decide that you want to actually move yourself up to the front seat of the car, because then you're considered selfish, then you're considered a bad mom, terrible wife, etc. Yet we don't do the same thing to men. So, girl, you're speaking to the choir, because I worked in a male-dominated industry for 30 years. And I'm over here, a single mom, juggling all this, and they had their wives stay at home, never took their kids to a doctor's appointment, a dentist, never had a sick child, never had to miss a meeting. I'm like, what is this? So I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah.
Um,
Women are the superior sex.
you we already know that. We are the source of all life because it comes through us,
That's
obviously.
right.
Jane says that's why you have beta readers like me. Oh,
Oh,
that's sweet. Yeah, we can't do it without our beta readers, because
yeah,
it's one thing when we know the whole story ourselves, but then when you have to like send it to someone else, or like pacing tension, plot holes, you change his color, eyes are blue, now they're brown, what's up?
oh my
And we
God,
don't even realize all
it's
that
not
as
just
an author.
me. Oh, I feel vindicated. I I'm like, wait a minute, what color were their eyes? I can't remember. And I do it all the time.
I have a spreadsheet. Everything has to go in that spreadsheet, because I'm like, what color, or what was her hairstyle? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent of like, oh, okay, I just described in very deep detail what like the character looks like. So I copy and paste it in Scrivener. I don't know which program you use, but I use Scrivener, and I always copy and paste it in my character sketch, and I like slap it on there, and I'm because I'm lazy. She has blue eyes and da da da. I'm like, no, this sounds pretty. I'll put it there.
I do the same thing. I wish I had Scrivener, but there's such a deep learning curve. And so, girl, I'm on janky old Word.
Are
I'm like, you know
you
what?
really? Oh my
I
goodness.
know.
Oh yeah.
Just
I
I
I,
just put
I
out
think.
my 12th book on Word.
Oh wow. Wow. Woo.
So it goes to show anyone that's listening or watching, if you're an aspiring author, you just get that business Word that you've been working on for decades, and you whip that sucker out, because that'll work just fine.
That's so true. Because I started mine on, I think the Legend of Gasparilla was, that one was on Word. I did that one on Word. So
Oh my gosh. Jane says, I have a good memory. I can even pick up sets of repeated text. Well, we can't. We can't. As authors, we can't. We don't remember what we wrote. Don't ask us 5 chapters ago what we wrote, because We don't know. And sometimes you go back and when you're doing your reread or your rewrite, you're like, damn, that was pretty good. Okay. Wonder who wrote that. Oh,
That's so true. Oh my God, it's
yeah.
so true. And I'm like, oh, did I write that? Oh my God, the funniest thing, my PA, Shar, God bless her, she she pulled some pulled a line, a really spicy line from my video, and put it in a video, and I was like, oh my God, it's like you realize like, oh, did I say that? I was like, I didn't say that, and she's just like, Stephanie, that's straight from your book. I'm like, what? I said, I wrote that? Did I write that spice? And she goes, you wrote that. I was like, oh, okay, okay. Well, then I wrote it. I mean, I guess I have to own it.
Yeah, little elves didn't sneak in here and finish my manuscript for me, although we would like that. So
Oh
I
man.
want to back up a moment. You had
Yeah.
said that you had decided to put yourself first, which, oh, I champion.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Did you make the switch and leave your full time to go full time writing?
I did. I left my, yeah, I know. I was at an impasse. I was in a really toxic work environment and I could not take it. I was just like, I need to get out. And that's when I just took a pause and I said, okay, well, let me give this a whirl. And I put myself on Fiverr as a virtual assistant. And I was like, let me see if I can make this work. I made an announcement on Facebook to my friends and family. I'm like, I'm a virtual assistant. I'm going to try to make this work while I get my writing done. Lo and behold, a friend of mine reached out. He's like, we need help. And so I helped out with his music production company. And
Okay.
yeah, and it was a blessing. And so like I was really, really grateful for that coming in. I had a couple other clients come into through Fiverr organically, and it got me to a point, and then I was like, okay, I got to get myself back in so that because being an indie author is not cheap, and so I decided to go for something a little bit more stable. And lo and behold, really weird, but remote position, assisting in the industry that I was in, which was fire, life, and safety. And yeah, I get to help sales reps process contracts, easy peasy, and then I can just manage my own schedule. And I do, keep the writing time sacred, which is important. For anybody out there, like how do you do it? Keep your writing time sacred, which is early in the morning, get up 5:30, make it happen. So.
Whoa, you're a 5 a.m. girly. Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to get it done like ahead of time and make sure that it gets done on paper. So yeah, that it all worked out, and I'm actually really grateful. And I get it I'm still in it, and I have my PA who helps me out and keeps me sane, and it makes life work.
Okay, so I love that because you talked about sacred time, and I think that's what, you have family, you have your job, even though it is
Mhm.
remote. And so I
Yeah.
think it is important, that we make that commitment to ourselves. And so I love that you're waking up before like the world gets up, before your household gets up, and you're like, I got to do it in order for it to get done. I mean, that's quite the commitment.
It is. I love morning time. I'm a morning person. My husband actually gets up for work at 2:30 in the morning. So, yeah, I know. Yeah.
What time
He's got to
does
prep,
he go to bed? Not that this is about him, but still.
like, I think it's like 6 or 7. Like he tries to go to bed around 6 or 7. It's just, he's got to get the golf course prep for the golfers. So I don't know. It's like, yeah,
And
anyway.
we
So
know
he
those
gets up
old men get there at like 6 in the morning.
they do.
They get
They
up
do.
early. I
They
have
do.
a golfer family member, it's like, anyway, so he's really great, but he's 75 and he golfs 3 times a week.
I mean, it's healthy for them. It's definitely healthy. So, I can't knock it, but I'm terrible at it. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do in retirement. I'm gonna be like, oh, you go play golf, but I'll just read my smut and thank you very much. Leave me
I'm going to
alone.
play pickleball. Pickleball is a shorter court. It's basically a little bit bigger than ping pong, not as big as tennis.
Yeah, yeah. I did love tennis. My shoulder hurts me. I love spin, so I guess I'll do that. So, but
Uh, I
um,
joined a pickleball place, and I'm telling you, this guy comes in. He has like 70. He's 70 years old and has knee braces, and he smokes me every time. I'm like, okay, we're not playing. We're not playing. I'm going to go to the local park and I'm going to pick up some of their. It's like
Pickleball's picking up at
December.
this. I have best friends who like swear by pickleball. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Jane says, I'm in the UK, so I'm always up late, especially when I'm video calling with my author friend in California. Oh, or my bestie in Florida. Well, bless your heart, because I know you're like 6 hours from Texas, I think, or eight. That's gonna be
Yep,
like 10 hours. Ooh,
that's it. I'm assuming that you are a night owl.
wow, that's crazy.
That's,
Um,
mhm.
okay, so you have, so how long did it take you to do the rewrites and get book one? You know, because that's kind of a process, right? You have to read what you already had, then you
Yeah.
have to decide what pieces you want to keep, and then you ended up rewriting the whole thing, but kept like some elements of it. So when you're writing book two, what does that look like from book one to book two? Was book two easier or hard?
Hmm. Okay. So
Uh-oh.
for me, I think it was easier, and here's the reason why. The Legend of Gasparilla is an actual story. There is, it was the inspiration behind the Gasparilla Parade in Tampa, Florida. It is a story that's existed since the early 1900s, late 1800s, somewhere in that range. And you had people are very serious about Gasparilla and the folklore surrounding Jose Gaspar. So I had to honor that story while also making it romance because hello. Um, but like I had to make it similar to what that story was, right? The precipice of the story that he falls into Tampa Bay and says no one I die at nobody's hand or whatever have you, and I'm the one that wrote it, so I'm supposed to know that. But anyway, so you have to keep true to that myth or that legend. With this is different. This is my world. Yes, it's Atlantis,
Yeah.
but this is me coming up with names and coming up with locations and character names and all the things, and also and weaving my own elements into it. So some of the words that are used and terminologies that are used in the Veiled Heir come from the Taino language of Puerto Rico. So I used all of those elements and wove them into my story to teach, because I feel like it's a great moment to elevate indigenous cultures
Mm-hmm.
and to raise awareness to their language. And so, like I thought to myself, like, how can I elevate, my heritage and weave it into this book, because Puerto Rico is also a part of the Caribbean where, Atlantis is supposedly. So, we want to weave it all in together. So, I wanted to do that and to elevate the Taino culture. So I was really proud of that. I could do that. And that's what energized me, was coming up with these different names and everything, even from the smallest things. The goddess in the book is the goddess Atabe, which is, the water goddess in the Taino language, so, I use those little things, throughout the book. And, I put at the end of the book, I also put links to some resources to learn more about Taino culture. So, it's very satisfying to do those things. So I felt freedom, and I loved that. It was like so cool to just say like, all right, well, my guardians can materialize their tridents, and they can vanish at the same time, or you know I don't know, just different things is really just really fun, like
Yeah.
different world building elements. Atlantis has cafes and a wine bar. We've got a bookstore called Faithlings. Like I just I wanted it to be like someplace I'd love to visit. So I mean, it was just so much fun. It was a lot of fun to put together.
I love love that you included your heritage. I feel like you're probably one of the best representatives to do that. You know, like if it was me trying to, and I try to write diverse, it's one thing. But when it comes from you and you have the background, you have the knowledge, it just makes it to be like a richer, more authentic story. And I like how you have awareness in there because sometimes, yeah, it may be people's actually like first time hearing it or first time being exposed to it. And it comes through fantasy. What a great, like it's educational and also escapism.
Exactly. That's what I wanted because I wanted it to reflect like my culture, but also like, just, yeah, just putting also other pieces of me and my life into it too. So not only just with that, but like having LGBTQ characters, right? And having them present and having them, weaved in there like like they are in my life, just beloved and just part of normative culture. Like, like like just not fated mates doesn't belong only to like men and women. Fated mates also belongs to women and men. And like, making that like normalizing that because I mean, that's the world that we live in. Whether people want to recognize that or not is up to them. But that's the world that we live in. And so like, I was like, I want to weave all of that into my world. And so there's just so much more of that coming through in the next books. Cause there's like 5 that I have planned, and then of
Okay.
course 2 novellas in the series. So the first one is already out. That one's The Forbidden King, and the second one I haven't named yet. And I'm deciding. I'm deciding. I'm deciding if there's going to be a third novella, but I'm not going to like prolong a book 3 because I feel like people are like, "Where is this book?" Especially my besties, because they're just like, "I don't want the Forbidden King. What I want to know is what happens to Ashera." I'm like, well, that is rude. I feel
Rude.
attacked. Um, you know, but yeah, no, I'm working hard on trying to finish this because I know a lot of readers are looking are looking out for book 2. I've had quite a few of them reach out like, where is the second or where's book 2 and all this? I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, I just have all these things, and then they're just running around in my head, and
You're like,
so
focus, Stephanie.
I know. Exactly.
Wow, 7 books though, that's so ambitious. But I like what you said. It's kind of a mashup, right? Because Fated Mates was only like its own subgenre or
Yeah.
trope. But I like when it expands out, and especially to that community I feel like is underrepresented,
Yeah. Yeah.
underrepresented. And so it's kind of a mashup to where we're more realistic of life today.
You would think. Yes, but yes, it is. I mean, I think that's what I strive for is kind of putting those elements in there for all readers to feel included,
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, but yeah, and you're right, 7 books is ambitious. I don't know where we're going to find the time, but we're going to make it work.
Well, that to be said, on this second book in the series that everybody's waiting for,
Yes.
with their pitchforks and torches are coming for you.
Yes.
Um, you said it's done though. Mm.
Nope, I'm finishing it
Oh,
up.
all right.
I just reached or just started waving to 80,000 words, and it's 130,000 that I'm aiming for. So,
Ooh.
yeah, so I'm hoping to be done sometime in the next 3 weeks is what my aim is. So it's going to be a lot of writing
Okay, wait, wait,
in
wait, wait,
that.
wait, wait. I must have hallucinated or blinked out there because you said you're at 80, but it needs to be 130, and that's about, 50, what? Yeah, 50,000 words roughly.
So about 3 to 4 weeks, roughly. It's going to
Oh
take
my
me. Three's
gosh,
going to be
Stephanie,
ambitious.
how are you writing that much with a full-time job and a family and life and
Well, truth be told, I don't have any children, so it's just my wiener dogs and my husband. He's a lot of work though, so I mean,
yeah,
full
family.
disclosure. Um,
Yeah, men are helpless.
Yeah.
Not that I'm male
Um,
bashing, but we all know that, like, yeah.
hmm hmm Um,
Yeah, because
so
I'm single.
yeah, yeah. Ugh.
But no, you
So,
have family, you have full-time job.
yeah,
How are you going to write 50,000 words in 3 to 4 weeks?
I get it done in the morning and sometimes in the afternoon as well. So I'll jump back in and get that done. But it's nothing but writing. Any free time that I have is writing, and I do give myself time to read at night.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I feel like I need like just like a decompression from all
Self-care.
of it.
Yeah,
But
self-care.
yeah, the rest of it is kind of once I get to a certain particular point, like I'm not going to take myself all the way to 130. This is like behind the scenes in the kitchen kind of stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
like, and I don't even know if readers are going to be, interested in in this part. But like, I bring myself if I want to hit 130, I'm more than likely stopping at 110,000 words because I like to put all kinds of fun embellishments and go through and add 20,000 words worth of words throughout the manuscript. So like, yeah,
Okay, that's interesting.
yeah.
So is that like Easter eggs or is it foreshadowing or, what
Word
is that when
world
you,
building, world building, painting the picture for the reader and really bringing it to life. What does the room look like? What does it smell like? What is it? How is the person feeling in reaction to the place, that they're entering, Is that jazzy?
did you see?
Yeah.
Kathy, I love hearing how authors write, how they get their ideas. I know, right, Kathy? Because it is so different. I have some people that will do the first draft and it's really raw, right? Basic. Uh, they'll have like narrative, they'll have dialogue, and then I have others that do like 2 and 3 to go in and add this. So like the first one is raw, bare bones, skeleton. The second is going in and adding narrative. The third is adding description, etc. I'm going to have other authors that are like, nope, write the whole thing straight on through. Then I go back and I look for the mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, I do write the whole thing straight on through, but it is rough. I mean, there's no doubt about it. My first draft is rough, and there's sometimes I go back and go back and I'm like, God dang it, what were you trying to say there? But
Yeah.
I just my goal in life with these things is not to make my editor cry by the time it gets to her. So like, because I just want to make sure that things flow, even though my editor typically picks up the things that even I sometimes my author eye can't pick up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I really do love, I want to bring my world to life always.
Yeah.
Like I think one of the things that I learned the first time around, this is one of those lessons. It's okay to to drop those things and really paint the picture,
Mm-hmm.
and really take your time. And I think that helped me with the veil there. So,
Yeah.
I'm
Jazzy says, I love those intimate details. And Jane, I always applaud great descriptions. And I think we come to expect that in fantasy. I feel like fantasy with the world building, you do want to paint the picture because we want to be in that room, in that castle, in that wine bar, in Atlantis. Like we want to be there. We want
yeah,
the description. Hmm.
yeah, absolutely. And I noticed that with contemporary, like, because I study everything I read, which is why it takes me forever to finish a book. But I noticed with contemporary, the beautiful thing I love about contemporary authors is that they paint emotion and like character, and the focus is set on that. Yeah, they paint the picture with the setting, and I love that and appreciate that. But man, they're really good at character painting, which I strive for in my writing too. I pluck it. I'm like, pluck that, put it in, like in terms of like the elements and details and things like that. So contemporary has a beauty of its own as well that I admire.
I think so. Jazzy, yes. Authors are always are artists with words. It is absolutely wonderful to engulf into those worlds. I agree. But you're right. I hate to say this, it's kind of a balance. It's almost like a formula. Like how much is emotion, how much is plot, how much is story, how much is moving the character forward. And it's the right balance, and you have to look at each scene like, okay, did I do too much narrative, too much description, too much dialogue, too much, And I think that some readers, uh, some writers, they tend to have, like, we have crutches. Like, I tend to be very dialogue. I'm like, why would I describe it when I can say it?
Yeah, yeah.
But not all readers appreciate that. Some of them just
Yeah.
want the narrative, and not let me explain everything.
Yeah, yeah. It's you have to be a delicate balance, or I
What do
try
you
to.
tend to be heavy in? What is your Crutch. See, that's why I'm not an editor.
I my okay. So what do I tend to do as like in terms of my
Too heavy on. What do you have to go back and like
pace,
take out because you get them?
pace, pace too fast. I feel like pace can be too fast and I have to slow it and put some more character movement and what are they doing at that moment? Like I love to like kind of put those are the details I tell you about that sometimes I just with my first draft I'm just getting to that point to the end and that's why I leave so much on the table in terms of some cushion because I love to go back and put a little bit more for pace so that I can slow it down. Maybe they're twitching or they're wincing or they're flicking a piece of lint off of their clothing or something like that. As they're speaking. I look at myself and I'm constantly moving. This whole camera's been like this the whole time. I'm sorry. But like I'm constantly moving. Like so, like I'm like, what is it? I'm trying to like think to myself like, how do I bring them to life the way that people normally are, because we don't just sit still all the time.
Oh no, everybody has the idiosyncrasies, right? People have their like fidget or their go-to thing.
Yeah,
Or when you're writing, they have that thing that they always focus on. Like sometimes people are, we talk about, are you a, boob guy or a butt guy? But sometimes it's eyes, it's legs, it's lips, right? And so each
right,
character, you can't as an author write eyes all the time. You have to write what that guy or that girl is always into. Is it their height? For women, is it their height? Is it their hair, etc.?
right, right. Yes, and there's different ways of describing things too. I try to be very diligent in trying not to repeat myself too much, but sometimes I'm just like I know I'm repeating myself. I sound like an asshole right now. Pardon my French.
That's for
But
editors. Editors will be like, "Look, you said plump, whatever, like 10 times. Stop calling it that." You're like, "Okay, I didn't realize I had 10 in there."
I know. I know. I try to ease up for her though, so she doesn't cringe so much. What can you do?
Yeah,
But
Jesse says, "I love that. Get to the end and fill in with descriptive details to place it together."
right.
And then Jane said, "I can be the character sometimes in a good book." Oh, thank you. She complimented mine, but thank you. Yeah, and do you write in the first person or do you write in third?
I can write in both. The Legend of Gasparilla is in third. And this one I was like, ugh, child. I forgot to mention this part. The Veiled Heir was originally written, the entire thing in third person, and I switched it to first, the entire
Oh,
thing.
that's daunting.
Girl, yes. It was really, oh, child. It was so, okay, because here's the thing. I think that there is this, snotty thing going on. I'll call it snotty. Because whatever. Um, I'll call it snotty. That if that first person is beneath third person. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's in literary circles. They're like, ugh, why are you writing in first person? And I think that is just what.
Literary doesn't pay the bills.
Okay, so I do, but I do respect people who can write in third person. If that's your jam and your
Mad
jelly, and you were called to write in
respect, but it's
third
so
person,
hard.
go write in third person if you feel like that. For me, personally speaking, I listened to a lot of my readers that said, I think first person I would jive more because I can feel more of the character that way. And I was like, oh, okay, I can see that. And I was like, okay, well, let me see what other successful authors are doing. And then you jump in and you notice. Sarah J. Maas, Jennifer L. Armentrout. Who else? There are a few the high up there's Re Rebecca Yarros. I don't know if that one was third or first. I can't recall. But either way, um,
14.
they write in first person, right? And if the market is calling for that, right? If the market is saying in our genre that that is appealing to writers, then why wouldn't you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, just because the literary folks say, like, write in third. I mean, honey, if you want me to write in third person, I'll write it for you. But I mean, like, you know, like, I just think that you have to do what resonates with readers personally. And
Mad respect, because I cannot write in third to save my life.
really,
Oh my
oh,
gosh, I am in deep first. Like, I want your back to be against the wall and you don't know what's happening and da da da. Yeah, that's what kind of goes through my head. Like, I want you to feel what they feel and you're, you know, like, yeah, you're
yeah.
about to die. Yeah, so that's me.
I love that so much.
So that's why I can't write in third, because third takes you a little bit, you know, there's some distance. It takes you a little bit out of the action. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that.
Oh man. Yeah, again, no, I love it. I mean, and you know, it was actually kind of nice. So I was like, oh, just continue on. I don't know if we'll write third person again, maybe one day,
Yeah.
you know?
What do you prefer better? What do you like? What comes more natural to you?
Oh, that is so funny. Maybe first. Maybe first.
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, I wrote third as and it sounded like first person. That's what it sounded like. I write third person like a first person. And, you know, like, it's just my writing style. I don't know. I guess my writing style can go either way. You know, I'm like, I don't know. But I guess first, again, we'll just stick with first. And if somebody says, hey, you should write in third, maybe I'll do it. I don't know.
Yeah, and so second is all in. Well, the whole series will be in first then, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've thought about doing like prologues in third person, but I don't want to throw the reader off and then be like, oh, wait a minute, this is in third person and I don't want to do third person. They drop it after that prologue, you know, or as they're getting through the
Oh,
prologue.
yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because I've seen some writers do that, and I personally don't even notice it until I'm like 3 pages in. I'm like, oh, this is third person. Okay, well, that's fun. You know, like I just read, which one did I just read? I just read a book that was really interesting. It did the male part in third person and the female part in first person. And I thought to myself, that is really
I've
interesting.
never seen that ever.
That's going to drive me crazy. I know I just like literally just read it.
Fantasy or romance?
Ah, I know what it was. It was Master of Crows by Grace Draven. Oh, I love Grace Draven.
Oh, okay.
So good. And I thought that that was really interesting and very unique. I'm like, oh, she did like the third person for the male and the first person for the female. I was like, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'll have to look that up. I've never ever seen that done.
I know.
I mean, especially if it's done well, then that's something you can learn from, especially me, because there's no, you know, third person. Mad respect for those who
Yeah.
are writing it.
If you ever try it, try writing like you would in first person, but just like do it in third and just keep going. I don't know. It's really weird. I know that's just kind of how I dove into it, but
Okay, you took me back to my 10th grade comprehension class, my creative writing class, and I started to have like heart palpitations.
oh
And I
my
was like,
God,
oh,
don't.
more PTSD. You know,
Don't do that.
just write it
No heart
third and have a
palpitations.
good time.
Okay, don't do
Yeah,
that.
don't do that. Okay, so we are almost out of our time, but
Oh,
I have a like switching gears, yeah. So I have a question. If you could wave a wand, since we're
mhm.
talking magic, you could wave a wand and it'd be a year or 3 years from now, what would your life look like? What would you have published?
Oh,
What
wow.
would you be on morning shows? Would you be traveling the world on book tour? What's your
I
life look like?
I want to, you know, if I am blessed enough to make the switch to just full-time author and just doing that continuously and profiting and, you know, making that my sole source of income, I would be so blessed and grateful and all of those things, you know, like that would be the dream for me. And whatever that looks like, you know, if that means, you know, New York Times bestseller list, USA Today, whatever that looks like, that's what I want. You know, like, and it doesn't need to be that, because I'm so grateful, and even at this stage, and for all the readers, and just I just have such an attitude of gratitude for readers in this space that I'm in right now, that I'm living the dream already for me. And so, you know, if it were that, then great, you know. But most importantly, I think in 3 to 5 years, I would like to have finished the Heir of Atlantis series and started my vampire series, because vampires are up next.
Oh,
Yeah.
as you
So,
said, manifest all that you beautiful souls deserve. That is so sweet. And yeah, those are beautiful sentiments. I put that out in the world because I want that for you as well.
let's hope, cross fingers.
Yeah.
Maybe the next time that we meet, then we'll have more to chat about on this series. I'm excited. And thank you so much for inviting me on, because I appreciate it so much.
Hugs. You know, you're my girl. I love it. If we were like live close, we'd be besties. We would just like ride in sprints at 5:30. Well,
I love it. Maybe not 5:30.
5:30 p.m. Thanks
Love it.
so much, Stephanie. It was great catching up.
I know. Thank you so much for having me. You take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up too.